A very good afternoon to everyone today. For people who've been watching this show, they know I'm shooting from a different location, so pardon me for that. But today I have with me a very distinguished and a special guest, Mr. Sarvesh sir, Mr. Sarvesh Saluja, who's a partner at GSA. Sir, this is the round for formal introductions, and we'll introduce you formally. With a wealth of experience in corporate and commercial law, Sarvesh sir has played a pivotal role in numerous high-stake transactions and projects. His expertise spans strategic investments, structuring, foreign investment, joint ventures, and acquisitions across various industry sectors, with a special focus on technology and telecommunications as well. Sarvesh sir has also been a key member of legal teams advising on landmark deals, including the Cool Japan Fund's USD 23 million Series E equity investment, sir. I think in the Gojo and Company Incorporated, and Cast 24 USD 340 million Series F equity round. You've also contributed to the MakeMyTrip India Private Limited majorities investment in Savaari Car Rentals Private Limited and Peugeot S.A.'s joint venture with the CK Birla Group companies. Furthermore, sir, you've also advised Weatherford International PLC on the Indian leg of its sale of oilfield laboratories to CSL Capital Management LP, and much more. Sir, this is close to a decade of wealth of experience, and that sort of formal introduction was read out. But thank you, firstly, for joining us here on this show, and I'm really, really excited and looking forward to the session today.
Thanks a lot for such a good introduction. And yeah, see, these are transactions on which I have worked, but I always pointed out I was only a part of the team.
Part of the
The
team,
whole team
yes.
worked on the transactions, and obviously the results were good. In that.
Right, right, right. No, absolutely, sir, absolutely. And today, sir, I think I'm gonna take a seat back. It is me generally who's in the driving seat while interviewing the guests. But today there is a lot to learn and a lot to hear from you, especially you. Sir, like I said, a decade of experience. Take a little bit, take us a little bit through your journey. और हम हिंदी और इंग्लिश दोनों में बोलेंगे. As it is clear and evident कि हमारी audience दोनों ही languages की है. We'll keep switching in the bilingual format. But sir, you have worked in extensively in a lot of firms, and this is sort of been will be my first question. I've seen your profile, I've seen sort of your journey. आप ही के मुंह से सुनेंगे कि how the journey has been. But gathered the experience of a lot of different firms, and then finally becoming a partner at JSA. Sir, how has it been from starting till the end? Was it in your mind कि मेरे को एक tier one firm में I have to work या something like this, or how did this entire thing pan out?
Yeah, see, the point was everyone as a fresher. I also wanted to work in a tier one firm, and initially that was the target. So I didn't get I didn't get in. I was not from a analyst or a, so to say, those law schools from which tier ones hire. So there was a lot of uh, so to say, lot of problems in getting internships and getting experience and getting interviews also. So I started with the smaller firms, gained experience, uh, became good at what I mean, gathered experience, gathered expertise in what I wanted to do, and over the years got into different firms, tier one firms, and obviously there were circumstances at some point of time due to which I changed a few firms, but majorly when I got into tier one firms, I tried to settle in those firms only.
Right, 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 sir. But this entire thing, like you initially said, also, and like things have changed with time. Tier one firms now are also hiring from different colleges, like let's say a
Yeah.
Jindal or a Symbiosis or XYZ. But like you said, sir, this breakthrough that is sort of very essential. What is it that was there in your mindset? Did you ever, and this is something that a lot of law students have asked to a lot of partners and managing partners that we've hosted this season. This has been one question that when they see the competition around, it's fierce. And when they
Yeah.
see someone who's at a more privileged position to begin with, who's, let's say, studying I come from a Jindal background, and I cannot deny the fact that it's very different for someone who's studying from a normal law college here and then probably trying to make their way through it. So, did it ever also sort of eat into you or occur into your mind कि यार ये चीज probably शायद मेरे साथ नहीं हो पाएगी, ऐसी कभी स्टार्टिंग में ऐसा कभी फील हुआ कि नहीं ऐसा I can't,
See, होता था.
Okay.
I'll give it. होता था. But I always felt कि even if I'm not getting the interviews, even if something is not happening, I have to keep trying.
Right. Right.
That was the only way I could get into it. Because see, the point is, when you're not trying, you won't get it anyways. So it's better to keep
Absolutely.
trying.
Absolutely.
And there were initially there were days, there were months, there were years when I thought कि कुछ होगा नहीं, you will have to stick to it. Even then, I thought कि if I'm good at what I do, even a tier two will be able to compensate me for that.
Right.
And end of the day, expertise is something that matters a lot. And obviously having good seniors also, because I was lucky to have very good seniors who guided me. So one of my seniors, Abhilek sir, he started his own. He's an ex-partner in Ketan JS, and
Okay.
so he used to tell me, "Ki, you get your expertise, you get your name, the firms will obviously come for you.
Absolutely.
It takes
Absolutely.
time, but ठीक है, you have to be strong and you have to have a strong base.
Right.
Otherwise, there's no point. Even if you break through due to
Yeah.
some other reason, you won't survive." So that
Right.
was
Right.
the thing in my mind. And yes, there were days of frustration, but what I have seen now that I'm at a partner position and it's been 16 years now,
Right. Right.
and there were other people also who were looking for it. The people who continued looking for it and didn't give up, all of them at one point of time or other have it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, sir, I think the message here is also the entire sort of resilience that you had in your mind and the idea of consistency that you kept on going in irrespective of, not looking at the tears. But a very important thing that you pointed out, sir, is essentially कि तुम काम अगर जानते हो, तो the firm will look for you. It's not vice versa. The place will find you. You don't have to
Yeah,
keep finding the place if you understand the work. Sir,
yeah,
for anyone who's entering the field, let's say, for example, a fifth year law student who's practicing merger and acquisitions. That's one of your key areas also that you sort of practice in. Sir, what is the essential skill set that it is not about even tier one, that but any good lawyer in the beginning, because when we come from law school, there is a huge gap between the theoretical and practical understandings. In fact, the lot of subjects and everything that we sort of taught are very, very theoretic in the nature. We do not even know basic essential skill sets of drafting. I mean, in an internship also, it depends on person to person how much they can maximize their potential. So what do you think, how firstly do you sort of cultivate this skill set, and what exactly should the skill sets look like कि मुझे ये चीजें basic है आनी चाहिए.
see, for a fresher, I'll be very frank. I have been taking interviews now. I don't expect them to draft a legal notice or draft a perfect agreement. That expectation is misplaced.
Okay.
See, the point is, a person has just come out of law school. He has not got into the practical side of law, which you have to do either in a court or in a law firm. So the expectation for him, from what I think, for me to say that you draft a perfect legal notice, even a perfect reply to a legal notice, litigation wise, or a perfect agreement, that expectation is misplaced. What I look for is, first, he or she should be aware and be cognizant of what is happening around in the legal industry.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, if someone comes to me and says the company is at 1956, it has been changed in 2013. It's been 11 years now.
Yeah.
That is a red flag for me. He wants to get into law, but he doesn't know anything about it. I
Right.
don't expect him to know कि भाई उस act के अंदर क्या लिखा हुआ, but I expect him to know कि act क्या है. That
Right.
is the first thing when I interview a fresher.
Right.
He or she needs to have general awareness about the law.
Right.
Second, what is written in the CV. See, it's very easy for a partner, for a person who is interviewing you, mainly partners take interview, to see through if you have lied in the CV. Because if the person is asking you questions and you're not
Right.
able to reply, that gives a very bad impression. And the person will not be able to judge.
Right.
You see, the
Right.
basic purpose of an interview is the person who is taking an interview is judging you on your professional merit and trying to see whether you fit into the role he has.
Right.
Right? if you're lying and the chances of your being caught are very high,
Very high.
he won't be able to judge you properly. And
Right.
that will be a red flag. That will
Right.
again
Right.
be a and yeah, that is the second thing. And third thing which I try to gauge is the ability to work hard and grasp things.
Right.
See, you are a fresher. I don't expect a person to basically come as a fresher and on day one running do everything. But what I want is he should be willing to learn
Right.
because there'll be a lot of unlearning for him because
True.
theoretically he has read a few things. Practically he'll have to adjust those things. So
Absolutely.
first there'll be a lot of unlearning, and then there'll be a lot of new things which he'll be introduced to. He, as a corporate M&A lawyer, uh, you're drafting a contracts act. That is the first thing you need to
Right. Right.
grasp. The funders of the contract act, right? Second bit, obviously, Companies Act comes into the picture,
True.
right?
Yeah.
If it's a non-resident foreign exchange management act
Yeah.
comes into the picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, there are plethora of laws which come into the picture. So you must be willing to learn and grasp
Right.
things.
Right.
And obviously you have to put in the hard work because initially, see, if you come to me as I'm a partner, I have a role.
Right.
Initially, the work which I will give you, depending on what you can do, will involve a lot of hard work, will involve
True.
a lot of hours. But
Right.
trust me, those hours are building your potential. In the sense, if you I involve you in a diligence and I ask you to go through 50, 20, 50, 55 agreements, someone has to do it. I
Absolutely.
asked you to point out a few pointers in this, few clauses in those agreements. You may feel it's a useless exercise because for me it will be very easy because I know mostly. But if you are reading the agreement, you are actually getting to know how agreement is drafted. What are the clauses? What are the things companies usually put in? So any and every task builds you up for something. So in short, basically, uh, general awareness, legal general awareness.
Right.
Second bit, not lying on the CV.
Right.
And third, willing to take up tasks and learn.
Right.
So
Right.
these are the three basic things I look for in a fresher. And now the point is, what the a person who is looking for an M&A profile should do a fifth year student. So see, as a lawyer, you have to read throughout your life. You have to research. You have to read. You have to upgrade your skills.
Right.
As a fifth year student, if you have made up your mind that you want to be an M&A lawyer, read up on that. A lot of things are attached to MA. Competition Act comes into the picture. Companies Act comes into the. So read about it. There
Right.
are so many articles in the internet. Read about it. Try to gauge from it. Try to understand those things.
True.
And in an interview, you can always say that I have read about these things in an article and in articles, and I know, but I haven't done it practically. That will give for me. It's a positive impression that person is working on his skills. So
Right.
I would say the person should at least try to update himself in the chosen field
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and then obviously come for interview. And
Nahi.
I have one more thing. Like if you see my profile, I started with litigation.
Yeah.
Then I was in a firm which did PAV law offices, which did corporate
Yeah.
M&A and real
Yeah.
estate. I in Ketan, I
Yeah.
did a lot of telecom media technology.
Right.
I was in the TMT team. Similarly, I have done a lot of secondments. So what I would advise everyone, and ideally this should be done in the internships only, get an internship in a tier one, right? Litigation की भी internship करो, in-house की भी internship करो, सब जगह को try कर लो.
Absolutely.
Because you may think you want to do corporate M&A, but when you come in the field, you may
Feel.
not like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you may want to go to litigation. So
Right. Right.
I think litigation is the time when you should go. Internship is the time when you should explore all this
Right.
and then decide. what you
Right,
actually want to
right, right.
specialize.
Right. No, sir, that's absolutely true. And it also matters a lot. बहुत सारी चीजें change कर देता है. For
Hmm.
example, when you come in, you see all those films. A lot of people just, also this generation particularly, I'll tell you very honestly, is very much inspired from Suits. I've had this conversation with a lot of my friends and colleagues also. But the idea being that you have a vision for XYZ things that, let's say I want to get into corporate or I want to do tier one, but do you really understand what it feels like to be at tier one also is something that is sort of very important. Whether you want to really do corporate or whether you have not tried anything else and you're just doing corporate because that is what you've been told or that is what the friends around you or XYZ whatever people around you are doing. Now that's absolutely well put, sir. Also in the sense that you sort of need to tick all the boxes. Like if I do not ever say, if I do not ever do litigation, and I come up and tell you that litigation is absolutely boring or I do not like it, it does not make sense, right? Only when I do it and I go through that experiences when I can sort of figure out. But sir, one very important thing that that came out of from what you were saying is that you need to have an understanding of the laws. But I see there is so much in the sense that it's so much dynamic. जैसे आज privacy एक बहुत important चीज हो गया है with the
Hmm.
advent of AI. We've been talking about data protection bill, data and privacy law के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं. Competition law is being something that is boomed in the last decade or so. But how do you keep making this switch, like this understanding of there is so much to do and आपके दिमाग में वो एक clarity आनी चाहिए कि यार मुझे ये चीज करनी है. For someone who's tried everything, how do you sort of get to the mindset, like आपके personal life में आपको कैसे लगा कि यार अब मुझे, like for example corporate या M&A ही करना है and I don't want to do dispute resolution. How do you make that segue or difference?
See, ultimately it boils down to what the exact circumstances are. See, I started litigation. I did it for 2 3 years. Then I realized that it's a very hard road ahead to make money. I needed somewhere because as everyone knows, litigation doesn't pay in the starting.
Right, right,
But I had to take a decision whether I was willing to wait for that long to make money,
right, right.
get to a level, or I wanted some kind of a financial security. I love litigation, I still do,
Yeah,
but I had to take the decision. And
right.
that was a very practical decision I took, that I cannot wait for this much years to have this much of financial
Absolutely.
security.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the trigger for me to go to corporate.
Okay.
And once I went to corporate, obviously the things clicked for me. I liked it. See, there are people who cannot sit and do a desk job.
Right.
For those people who litigation is a better option. There are people who don't want to basically go to different courts and do all these things.
Yeah.
For those, obviously, corporate is a better option. But
Yeah.
within litigation and within corporate also, there are.
Right. Right. True. And so, like, so essentially, you figure it out with time when you do start practicing, is when you sort of understand that whether you want to do it or not. Or is there a way, like, let's say, before I go into my fifth year, or maybe let's say if I finish law college, is it okay for me to decide to choose one career and then follow it ahead? Or all right, we are back, and this has sort of been the part and parcel also of hosting things online. I really love this part. In fact, for most of the sessions that we have hosted, this is where the audience viewership has peaked. So yeah, that is there, sir. I'll sort of also repeat the question, and I have a couple of things also to clear out in my own mind as well. But sir, like ये जो इतने सारे career options हैं, this very important thing that you were saying, like litigation करो, internships में try out everything. But then this choice, because you ultimately maximum, let's say you're doing 10 to 12 internships, max to max 13 internships. I know a lot of people who are doing 5 to 7, 8, 10 internships out of their law school. I think there is a minimum requirement. Uske baad aap jitna bhi karo, it's all about you. But sir, it becomes very difficult to understand for a lot of people who generally feel that, let's say, mujhe data and privacy bhi pasand aa raha hai. And then maybe I'm liking a little bit of dispute resolution. And probably, let's say, if I'm liking corporate as well, this how does an individual make up their mind in their initial years कि maybe this is something that I need to carry on with, and do they even have to make up that mind? क्या वो
So,
करना? Yeah.
no, they don't need to make up their mind. If you are
Okay.
confused, I always say you should do litigation first.
Okay.
It builds your base.
Right.
Litigation can be used in corporate, litigation can be used in privacy. Ultimately, courts interpret the law.
Right.
If you know how the court thinks or the judge thinks, if you know how things work out actually in court, that gives you an advantage everywhere. If you're confused, I would say do in litigation for initial years. That will build your base up. You will understand a lot of perspectives.
Okay.
And if you are doing litigation, do you like it? Obviously, you can carry on. But if
Right.
you want to change, I can say I can vouch for it. I did litigation. I can vouch for it. It builds your base,
True.
even as a corporate M&A lawyer, even as an in-house lawyer, whichever
Okay.
field you may go to, unless you are leaving the law.
Right. 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 Uh, Sir, one sort of very important thing that also sort of comes out from here is that ये जो in-house वाली बात है, this is a very commonly asked question also. Sir, in-house counsel बन जाना means that you have like firstly what is that experience like, because it's very different from someone who's working in a corporate law firm, or is it very similar in the sense that you have to deal with a certain amount of work, but usme growth की opportunities क्या है? Let's say I become an in-house counsel in XYZ company, but then does that mean that, like, for example, if I take your journey, you started with litigation, then you went on to do some work in one firm, and then you worked in Khaitan, and then you worked in another firm, and then you finally a partner at JSA. So this constant switch of opportunities was there. Do you think that is also something that's there with, like, let's say an in-house person, or maybe an in-house person can later switch on to firms? Like, how does that work around?
See, in how there are different challenges.
Okay,
In a law firm, you need to be more technical.
okay,
You are a lawyer. You are practicing law. You need to be more practical. Now, an in-house lawyer has to be practical. He has to merge the technicality with practicality. Only then the business will run. Because see, if you see, a law firm is dependent on something which on me advising something and then the money coming in. An in-house role, someone else is getting the money and you are assisting them in the legal aspects. So right. So there is a different type of skill that is required for in-house. A slight difference, I would say. But there is, I mean, obviously, if you are in a law firm, it becomes very easier to get into another law firm because you haven't changed your skill. There hasn't been any, so to say, break in the sense you haven't gone in-house and merged that practicality. And an in-house lawyer does every kind of work. You cannot sit in a company and say that मैं कि सिर्फ M&A करूँगा, right? Uh, if a company gets income tax notice, there's an income tax audit. You may not be an income tax lawyer, you are in
but
the
you will
thick
have
of
to.
things.
Yeah, fair.
Competition law, you have to be in the thick of things.
Yeah,
So, for an in-house lawyer to get a specialization in an M&A or a other thing becomes difficult. But he's a journalist who knows everything and he knows the practicalities of all the decisions on the business, right?
right,
That is why it becomes a little bit difficult for an in-house lawyer to come into law. Because as a law firm lawyer, you are doing most of the times you are in a team. You are
right,
in a privacy team. You are doing privacy matters for 20 clients. All the aspects are being looked into, and
right,
obviously your skill set is being developed. As an
right,
in-house lawyer, one day you will be dealing with the labor law issues. Other
right,
day you'll be dealing with competition law issues, then contractual issues. So
right,
obviously you know everything, but
right,
the due to lack of concentration in the sense, you can't deal with that thing day in day out,
right,
right?
right, right,
So that gives a difference in the skill set, right?
right.
That is why it becomes a little bit difficult for an in-house lawyer to come into
Law
a law.
firm. Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough. Fair enough.
so that is the thing. And even in-house companies, they prefer a person who is in-house because see, as a law firm
They
lawyer,
have handled all the. Yeah,
I'm more technical,
right, right,
right? An in-house lawyer ha, has merged that
yeah,
technicality into practicality.
right,
So for them, an in-house lawyer who's more practical about the business, understands the business, will be a better choice.
Right, 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 right.
So it becomes difficult to change the fields, but it happens.
Okay. Okay. So that possibility is there, but given the fact that you're dealing with a diverse set of things and that you're saying that, in-house role, probably you have to merge the practicality aspect too much with the technicality thing. And, as a law firm partner or a law, someone who's working as an, let's say, associate or any other position, you're more technical in nature in the sense of
Yeah.
the work that you're doing. But yeah, absolutely, sir. Thank you so much even for answering that so vividly. But sir, one very important, and this is sort of a different sort of a leading question. Sir, firstly, a very important thing that we did not mention in the introduction, and we wanted to sort of dedicate a specific section of the episode for that. Sir, you were featured, and huge congratulations. You were featured as top 100 lawyers by the Forbes list for people who have over, I think, 10 years of experience, and that is the list was about. Correct me if I am wrong. But sir, like I said, congratulations for that. But sir, these ratings, rankings, and all that, like I had Prashant Shivdas sir, who's a managing partner of his law firm, and come and talk about it. Sir, how do these rankings firstly work? In the sense that do the lawyers nominate themselves and then that the Forbes sort of look at like how which lawyers to choose from, or like the it is the firm that sort of hands out. How does this entire process take like place?
See, I can tell you about the firms I work with.
Yeah, yeah.
So usually it's the firms who do it,
Okay, okay,
and obviously when you have worked done a few transactions, you have got a few good client feedbacks,
right,
then only the firms recommend it. And
right, right.
after that, it is the work of the PTT and
Absolutely.
whatever the panel has
Besides,
if whatever the panel decides, if they have some kind of questions or if they have some kind of
right,
queries, they'll ask you.
right.
So that is how it works.
Absolutely. Okay. Okay.
It's
No, thank you
primarily
so.
the
Yeah.
BD team and the firms who look into it.
Okay, okay. No, because for a lot of students, and to be fair, even for me at one point, all these rankings and ratings are fascinating in a lot of sense. And sir, they do sort of, I think it's also good to get your work recognized. I mean, people keep working over the years, and a lot of people even don't ever get this recognition. But the fact that the recognition comes your way, it's not like the life changes. एक दिन में पूरी जिंदगी बदल जाती, but it
No,
does
no,
feel
nothing
good.
like that. It feels good, but
Yeah.
you will be doing the same work.
Right, एग्जैक्टली एग्जैक्टली you'll be doing the same work. सर बट एक बहुत important aspect जैसे आपने अभी बात की है transactions के, and you've worked on so many transactions, like you put it correctly, you've been a part of a lot of teams that have worked on such huge transactions. Sir, what is one or two skill जो बहुत ही essential आप देखते हो एक टीम वर्क में, because a lot of people are very individual इन देयर लाइफ, जब आप टीम के साथ डील कर रहे होते हो तो आपको बहुत डिफरेंट चैलेंजेस से डील करना पड़ता है, बिकॉज नॉट एवरीबडी इज द सेम. लाइक इन हिंदी दे से पांचों उंगली भी सेम नहीं है. लाइक एवरीबडी इज हैज गॉट अ डिफरेंट विथ एंड length and breadth of thinking as well, right? So how do you, when you're working in a team, how do you master the art of teamwork, essentially, if the question is uh, put like correctly? आप कैसे टीम वर्क को sort of master करते हो with time, and what are the skills that someone should sort of incorporate who's trying to work in teams?
See, the thing is, first of all, the objective should be very clear.
Okay,
And for that, you need to know the objective from the client. The client's objective should be very clear that I want to acquire this, I'm willing to take this much risk. I'm willing to, every transaction, every document, every negotiation is basically distribution of risk.
right,
And you need to know what your client wants, what is his objective. First, if you know the objective of the client, obviously, then the team members need to know that. It cannot be that I'm going towards west and the other person is going towards east.
right,
It has to be a coordinated effort. There has to be specific responsibilities. In
right,
the sense, there'll be a different diligence team, at
right,
least three, four people at the associate level who will do that diligence. There'll be distribution of the chapters.
right,
Depending on what is the transaction, it may be in a business transfer agreement, you'll look for different type of clauses in an agreement. In a
right,
share deal, you'll look for different clauses in an agreement.
right,
Everyone needs to be told, or it needs to be ensured that everyone is aware about what is the objective, what are the things they need to look for, what is
Right.
the output they need to give.
Right. Right.
Right? That is the first point. Second is, obviously there are reliance on different kind of different part, different
Yeah.
team members, right?
Yeah.
Uh, you may be reliant on, let's say, a deal basically has a huge competition as well,
Right.
right? You'll be dependent on the competition team, and obviously their inputs will impact the overall transaction,
Right.
whatever you are doing.
Right.
So you need to make them aware. In some deals, uh, let's say from an income tax perspective, some
Yeah.
deals there may not be much for income tax lawyer.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
you need to make them aware.
Yeah.
And then ultimately there needs to be a person who is in charge, who needs to collate and coordinate everything and then interface with the client.
Right. Right. Right.
So
So
that is
yeah. Yeah. Please, please. No, no.
yeah. So that is how usually it is. Then there's one person who is in charge, uh, and there are different pieces. Let's say income tax, competition, corporate M&A. The person who is in charge usually looks at the whole deal and basically is a corporate M&A lawyer only, and it's that person's responsibility to collate everything and present something to the client, be the face, and be the face in the negotiations as well. So that is
Right.
how it is.
Right, right, right. So no, so it's essentially also like it's like pieces of puzzle coming together. There is
Yeah.
one person who's sort of tackling it. Sir, so you don't have to name the firm, you don't have to name the transaction, but just from a practical sort of standpoint, for someone who's also, let's say getting into the shoes of an associate, sir, how do you make sure that like that communication is there? For example, अगर चार पांच मैं एसोसिएट बन के आ गया एक एक्स वाई फर्म में है ना, and then there is a partner there who's sort of leading the transaction, let's say, and then there are other people there. Sir, how do you make sure that the person who's also come in feels sort of welcomed into this environment and also can sort of like add their own जो भी inputs होते हैं without मतलब distancing? Also कभी ऐसा particularly हुआ है? Because sir, it's not all bed of roses. A lot of people,
Mhm.
when you are working in a lot of different teams, it might not be the XYZ best of people, and that is why same said you don't have to name neither the firm nor the team, neither the transaction. But the idea being that कभी कभी चीजें ऊपर नीचे हो जाती हैं, haywire हो जाती हैं. Simple लोग group projects में करते करते कभी कभी it does not collate well. So how do you then sort of deal with something like this, especially keeping in mind a fresher who's just sort of joined the.
So I'll answer the pressure bit first.
Yeah,
So what I've usually seen, and now all the firms do it, is have there some kind of a friend or I'm not getting the exact
mentor,
word, whatever,
mentee. Yeah,
mentor kind of a
yeah.
person who is uh, an SA or just 2 3 years above the associate.
Okay.
So that person usually guides. And what I have seen in firms, like when a fresher comes to my team, I will involve them first thing in a due diligence. Right. I'll ask my SA to tell him what he wants, what he has to look in the due diligence. And before the due diligence actually starts, I'll have a word with him and ask him what he has been told and what is the chapter he's looking at and what he needs to look for in the chapter.
Okay. Okay.
So I make it very clear that these are the things you need to look for in a
Look for.
chapter,
Right.
right? Second thing is what I feel is very important, being open. See, that person will have 100 questions. If you answer them, you will get a better product. I'm
Right.
talking about people who want to work. There are people who still won't work, that you can't
Right.
do anything about.
Right. Right.
They'll have their questions. They'll have they'll have things that they might ask, why do we do like this? Why don't we go the other
Yeah.
way?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
There are genuine questions. So if you answer them, either either you answer them or there should be a person who should be a friendly person, a senior associate or a 3 4
Yeah.
year
Like a buddy
associate who
mentor. Yeah.
buddy mentor who answers them and
Mm.
obviously expect some kind of an output. So
Right.
you need to tell them and then expect an output,
Right.
right? That is the first thing, that pressure. Now coming into the thing, obviously there are times when things don't gel easily. Right? Collation becomes a problem. Maybe XYZ reasons.
Reasons. Yeah.
Uh, so ultimately the person who is responsible for collation, he has to be given that power, so to
Yeah.
say, to get the thing done. And
Right.
if he
Right.
is not able to get it from X person or from X because of X reason, he should be able to figure out how to do it.
Do it. Right. Right.
So the senior you get,
The
that
more.
person is you.
Yeah.
And you need to figure it out that how to get that thing done. If someone is not coordinating, you cannot say to a client that this person from my team was not coordinating that. So you have to figure out a way. Either you then do it yourself.
Right.
So
True.
ultimately, the person who is responsible, his reputation is at stake, and he has to do it. If the other
Absolutely.
person is helping, that's very good. If the other person is not helping, you have to take the
Right.
responsibility and run for it.
Right, right. No, and it will reflect in their work and growth also. Like if someone deliberately is sort of trying to cause a problem, and for someone who's, let's say, like if I am sort of working with you and you're 16 years, you have 16 years of experience, but there are certain things that I have to probably listen to more than speak, in the sense that कि मैं अपना बता दूं, more than that I need to grasp how the situation is, because especially when someone's beginning at a law firm, you don't even know how things are done here. So if someone's trying to explain, you get to the better end of it. Try and learn, and then maybe ask your genuine questions, like you said.
See, there are ways. If I see there's a bad attitude by someone, obviously I won't give them birth.
Yeah,
And
true.
it's a very simple thing in a law firm.
Right.
If you're not working,
Yeah.
then you will be asked to.
Right. 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 No,
So if
absolutely.
someone
Yeah.
shows bad attitude, you won't give them the work. You want, as it is, there is work pressure. You don't want to deal with anything else.
Right. Right.
So, and sometimes it does happen due to paucity of time. Someone comes, you are not in a position to reply to their queries. You just say that अभी के लिए ये कर लो. We'll
Right.
have this session after that. So you need to respect that also, because a senior's time, like I've also been a junior for most of my life.
Yeah.
A senior's time is very important. He'll be dealing with, let's say, 15 things. Sometimes he might not have the time to reply to your queries. They may
Yeah.
expect you to do something for
Yeah.
the time, but
Yeah.
yes, if they ask you come later, you should actually go later. And if they ask you later that what were your queries and solve them, you should actually do that.
Right. Right. सर एक बहुत ज़रूरी चीज़, एंड आई एम स्पीकिंग इन हिंदी ऑल्सो बिकॉज वी बीन टॉकिंग इंग्लिश फॉर अ व्हाइल, एक बहुत ज़रूरी चीज़ सब लोग फील करते हैं। पहले ये कॉन्सेप्ट है वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस का, लोग बैलेंस करना चाहते हैं दोनों चीज़ें। सर लॉ फर्म में गिवन अप तो आपको काफ़ी एक्सपीरियंस और काफ़ी साल भी हो गए हैं, एंड फ्यूचर में ऑल्सो आई होप यू यू कीप doing amazing things and progressing like the way you have. Sir, but कैसे firstly, is there anything like a work-life balance, in the sense कि so for someone who's coming in, how do they, like, what does the work hours generally look like? Or uh, is it really true that most of the times it's not there? Like, I understand some of the times you have to, if you're working on a transaction, or if you're doing something really important, let's say as a part of the team, that thing might come into question. But ऐसा भी है कि like you're choosing this life for yourself. You never know, because clients are different transactions are going on. You never know what you will have to come up against. So you'll have to be always
See, the point is work-life balance. I agree. शुरू में बहुत issues होते हैं because
right.
obviously you're learning the bits.
Right.
Like you also know, once you get
Yeah.
a expertise in something, the time taken obviously decreases.
Right. Right.
जब
Right.
आप fresher आओगे, जो चीज आप 6-8 घंटे में कर रहे हो, 3-4-5 साल बाद वो अपने आप ही 3-4 घंटे कम हो जाएगी.
Right. Right.
ठीक है. आई टोटली एग्री विद द फैक्ट कि शुरू में वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस का थोड़ा इश्यू होता
Issue
है,
होता है. Yeah.
राइट.
Yeah.
बट वंस यू आर ओवर दैट फेज, देन एक्चुअली आपकी प्रोडक्टिविटी बेटर होगी होती है। आपको वही काम सी देख, एंड ऑफ द डे वो काम खत्म करें, ठीक है,
एब्सोल्युटली। या
एक टाइम से पहले। अगर आप 12 घंटे लगा के वो खत्म करोगे
या
एंड अच्छे से करना होगा इसकी, तो
या
आप आपने 12 घंटे उसके लिए यूटिलाइज किए।
या ट्रू।
अगर आपने एफिशिएंटली कम में कर लिया तो वो कम, वो जो बाकी टाइम है वो आपका है। एंड
राइट।
शुरू में वो एफिशिएंसी नहीं आ पाती बिकॉज पहली बार कर रहे
सीख ही रहे हो पहली बार तो, हाँ। ट्रू।
हैं। इवन एन एसोसिएट आई से कि जिस जो दूसरी या तीसरी डिलीजेंस में है,
हाँ।
उसको पहली डिलीजेंस से कम टाइम लगता है, क्योंकि देर आर अ फ्यू थिंग्स जो उसको ऑलरेडी पता होता
ऑलरेडी
है कि ये
पता है।
देखूंगा तो ये होगा,
राइट राइट।
ऐसे करूंगा तो ये होगा। रिसर्च उसने कर लिया होगा।
राइट
तो इनिशियली आई एग्री वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस का थोड़ा इशू आता है, बट ओवर द इयर्स, ओवर द टाइम, when you get expertise and mastery over your the things you do,
राइट
वो टाइम टेकन कम हो जाता है, obviously then you can have that thing, but
राइट।
ऐसा नहीं। a business cycle in a law firm is ups and waves. There are ups, lot
या
of ups, there are downs also,
राइट।
जब काम कम होता है।
कम होता है।
वो तब तो आप मतलब अपना निकल सकते हो टाइम पे वर्क लाइफ
या
बैलेंस को, बट हाँ जब
या
अप होता है तो
या
मतलब काफी काम होता
स्पेशली इन द इनिशियल ईयर्स आपको रेडी रहना पड़ेगा इस। और सर ये बात, this makes a lot of sense also for anything that you do. I think even if someone who's starting a business, कोई अगर XYZ, आजकल तो everybody is opening a startup, but someone let's say who's doing a genuine startup, putting in all the efforts, you see them working it's day in and day night if they want their thing to be
है। हाँ सी, क्रिकेट जैसे मैं पहले बहुत खेलता था, यू लुक एट कोहली तेंदुलकर, वो कितनी प्रैक्टिस करते हैं नेट्स में,
right, right, right,
कितना फिजिकल फिटनेस का वो करते हैं भाई।
right,
दे हैव, बिकॉज उनको करना होता है, क्योंकि दे हैव टू गेन दैट लेवल ऑफ एक्सपर्टीज। सिमिलर
right,
इज द लॉ, लॉ वो आपको फिजिकल मेहनत नहीं बट आपकी दिमाग की मेहनत है।
दिमाग की।
और
right,
जितना ज्यादा आप उसको करते रहोगे उतना आपको एक्चुअली बाद में टाइम कम लगेगा।
राइट राइट राइट। नहीं नहीं सर, एब्सोल्युटली। और सर एक और बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन, एंड देन वील प्रॉब्ली मूव टुवर्ड्स द कंक्लूडिंग पार्ट ऑफ दिस एपिसोड आल्सो। वील कंक्लूड द एपिसोड विद एक और दो लास्ट क्वेश्चंस। वील जस्ट हियर योर also last words on the show itself, and then last message for aspirants. But sir एक बहुत important चीज throughout law school जो मैंने भी feel किया, and मतलब that's there a lot of internships that you do, some of them might convert into a pre-placement offer, and that happens a lot in the fourth year, third या fourth year के end में happened personally to me, my couple of friends sir. But I had मतलब हमने XYZ डिफरेंट, सबका अपना डिफरेंट विजन होता है उस चीज को एक्सेप्ट करने का नहीं करने का। बट सर व्हाट डू यू थिंक इज दैट, यू नो वेदर लेट्स से आप किसी इंटर्न को देख रहे हो, हमने एसोसिएट की तो बात कर ली, फॉर एग्जाम्पल एन इंटर्न हु कम्स इनटू, यू नो लेट्स से आपके अंडर ही आ रहा है, what is it that sort of sets that intern apart, that you know PPOs are not handed out to any and everybody? Like let's say किसी को लगता है कि you know this person should be retained, or maybe they will add a lot of value in future, so you essentially bet on them in the sense कि you know this person is like, once a person says कि लंबे रेस का घोड़ा है ये, you sort of bet on them like that. But sir, how exactly, what do you feel in your capacity is the difference between someone who's just an intern and an intern who sort of excels in a particular internship?
सी द पॉइंट इज, इंटर्न को ज्यादातर हम रिसर्च ही देते
हाँ सर।
हैं, रिसर्च देते हैं।
अच्छा हाँ आपके।
रिसर्च ऑन द पॉइंट ऑफ लॉ, आई से कि आओ ये क्वेश्चन है,
या
इसमें आप मेरे को ढूंढ के बताओ,
ओके।
ठीक है। अब देर आर पीपल जो गूगल के आर्टिकल्स लाके मुझे दे देंगे,
राइट
देर आर पीपल हु विल कम विद द लॉ, विद द जजमेंट। उनको जवाब नहीं मिला होगा बट कुछ रिलेटेड लॉ या फिर कुछ चीज मिली होगी।
राइट।
नाउ यू आंसर मी कि हु विल यू प्रमोट,
The second person who's come in at
राइट,
least with the law and judgments. Yeah.
या सो वही है। अब अब मैंने किसी को रिसर्च दी, वो जनरल गूगल आर्टिकल्स पढ़ के मेरे पास आ गया।
Right
एंड माइंड यू, जब हमारे पास कोई ऐसी प्रॉब्लम आती है, गूगल आर्टिकल हम भी पढ़ते हैं पहले। तो
right
जो आपने पढ़ा होगा वो मैंने पढ़ा होगा और मुझे पता चल जाएगा आप वो से पढ़ा होगा,
right right
ठीक है।
right
व्हाट आई वांट एन इंटर्न टू डू इज, उसने उस लॉ की पढ़ाई की है,
right.
ही मे नॉट हैव द एक्सपर्टीज बट वो पढ़ के आया है,
Yeah.
तो सेंसिबल चीज बोल रहा है, रिलेट करने की कोशिश कर रहा है।
right,
जजमेंट्स ढूंढी है,
right.
अगर मैंने जजमेंट ढूंढने को बोला है,
Yeah.
उसको चाहे ना मिली हो बट उसके
Push.
आसपास भी कुछ मिल गया हो,
Yes, yes.
राइट, उसने सेंसिबली आके मेरे से बात समझी और फिर सेंसिबल जवाब देने की कोशिश की है। दीज आर द थ्री फोर बेसिक थिंग्स अगर मुझे लगती हैं, देन आई आस्क देम कि भाई दिस पर्सन हैज कैलिबर। ऑब्वियसली इसका ये मतलब होता है कि ये मेहनत करेगा तो आगे बढ़ेगा,
Right.
इसका एटीट्यूड मेहनत करने वाला हो चुका है,
वाला है। Yeah, yeah.
ये मेन चीज होती है।
Right,
अब
right.
कोई ऊपर ऊपर से रिसर्च करेगा, मतलब कई लोग मैंने देखे वो एक इंटर्न ने दूसरे इंटर्न से पूछा, दूसरा इंटर्न हैज नो
Yeah.
मतलब स्किन इन द गेम, उसने कुछ भी बोल दिया, वो आके बता रहा है उसको, एंड ऑब्वियसली सी द पॉइंट इज आपको रिसर्च तब दिया गया है जब उसका जवाब ढूंढना है,
Right,
उसका जवाब रेडीली अवेलेबल नहीं है,
right. Right,
राइट। बट ये आप लगा के चलो जिसने भी आपको रिसर्च किया है उसको बेसिक तो पता ही है उसका,
right, right,
और
right.
हो सकता है उसका जवाब भी पता हो, इज जस्ट
Absolutely.
सीकिंग अ वैलिडेशन,
Yeah, yeah,
राइट।
yeah.
तो अगर आप अच्छा प्रोडक्ट ला के दोगे, कई
Right,
कई इंटर्न्स मैंने देखा है वो, अब उनको रिसर्च दो, अपनी वो तो करके लाएंगे, वो एक नोट्स अपने आप बिना बोले बना के लाएंगे, नोट बना के ले आएंगे, उसमें जजमेंट्स वगैरह वो ये होंगी, डिस्कशन में वो नोट उनके पास होगा, उस पर रिलाई करके आपको बता रहे हैं, ठीक है,
right,
एंड आफ्टर दैट वो नोट आपको दे देते हैं।
right,
नाउ
right,
यू सी उसके उस एफर्ट से मेरा टाइम बचा है, राइट, आई हैव समथिंग टू इमीडिएटली रेफर टू, एंड
right,
दैट्स व्हाट आई वांट, कि भाई मैंने आपको काम दिया है क्योंकि मेरे को दूसरी चीजों को कंसंट्रेट करना है, आपने मेरे को एक अच्छी सी चीज दे दी और मेरा
right,
टाइम बच रहा है, तो ऑब्वियसली आई पुट माय बेट्स ऑन यू, बेसिकली सेइंग कि इसका मेहनत करने का एटीट्यूड है एंड ही इज हेल्पिंग मी आउट, दैट इज
right.
हाउ an one intern is differentiated from an
From
another
another.
one, जो
Yeah.
कई तो मैंने देखे हैं कि उनको फोन करके कभी बोलो हम बिजी हैं, ठीक है बिजी है, बिजी क्या बोलो।
No, 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 absolutely, sir. नहीं, and this, I mean, ऐसे बोलते बोलते भी I could relate to a lot of things personally also. जो चीजें differentiate करती हैं, even the way you, respond to someone, the way you address someone, like you said कि आपने call किया and they saying they're busy or whatever it is. नहीं, sir, that makes a whole lot of a difference. My final question to you, and then we'll hear your closing thoughts. Sir, firstly, I want to know whether you're a first gen lawyer or uh, first gen. Perfect. Sir, this has been sort of the whole discussion point this season. A lot of people have answered this through and through. I want to also hear your opinion on this. Sir, first generation, it's a little difficult, not comparing it with any other person, but yeah, it's true. कि अगर आपके पास जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल अभी अगर मैं ही 20 years I dedicate to a particular profession and my nephew kid whatever xyz person comes up tomorrow, why would I not support them? I would support them. But sir, as a first gen lawyer, did you personally feel ever sidelined? Was it, did you feel ki in comparison difficult tha, yeah, with time you felt कि everything is at par, I sort of managed to get my way through it, maybe it is
सी द पॉइंट इज, ये मैं हमेशा बोलता हूँ, द सेकंड जन लॉयर विल गेट एन इजियर एंट्री
okay.
एंड दैट्स अबाउट इट, उसकी एंट्री आसान है,
Right,
उसके बाद ही हैज टू प्रूव इट।
right, right,
फर्स्ट जन लॉयर की एंट्री थोड़ी मुश्किल हो सकती है,
right,
बट वंस यू आर एट अ पेडेस्ट्रल और सेम उस पे,
right,
तब इट डिपेंड्स ऑन यू, प्रूव करना, लॉ में काम करना, मेहनत करना, दैट इट एसेंशियली इज द सेम थिंग।
right,
हाँ, एंट्री आसान है, दैट इज, एंट्री बिकम्स आसान नहीं, मतलब इट बिकम्स इजियर,
right, right, obviously, obviously,
that's the only difference and that's the only advantage which is second
right,
lawyer has. उसके बाद if you see, I'll, I have a lot of examples of both, ठीक है, second gen lawyers who have excelled,
yeah,
what I have seen, I analyze their thing, उनसे बात बात होती है,
yeah,
सिर्फ एंट्री आसान थी,
right,
उसके
right,
बाद उसके स्ट्रगल और मेरी स्ट्रगल ऑलमोस्ट सेम,
right,
ठीक है।
absolutely,
फर्स्ट जेन लॉयर, उनसे मैं रिलेट कर पाया, एंड ऑफ द डे दे आल्सो एक्सेल्ड एट इट, वो
yeah,
स्ट्रगल सेम हो जाती है। सेकंड जन लॉयर कई बार ये भी हो जाता है कि दे आर कंपेयर टू द
there,
पर्सन,
yeah, 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 no, absolutely,
तो
absolutely,
See, everyone has their struggles. So
Yeah,
that's a negative side of it.
yeah.
But उनकी what I believe is कि सिर्फ उनकी entry आसान है. उसके बाद तो it boils down to very hard work
What you can
and
do.
yeah.
Right, right. No, absolutely. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful episode, sir. I didn't realize an hour passed by. And बहुत ही amazing था. आप firstly thank you. आप यहाँ पर आए. I मतलब I have said this I think only in 2 or 3 of my interviews now that I assume the role of the host when I'm hosting a guest, but sometimes it just takes you back to the feeling of just being a simple student. या फिर आपको लगता है कि वट एवर आप जो भी कर रहे हो, लेट्स जस्ट हियर द अदर पर्सन आउट मोर. आई पर्सनली सर फील दैट यू आर वन ऑफ द बेस्ट पीपल टू फॉर पीपल टू रीच आउट. अगर क्योंकि जितने जितने पोलाइटली और जितने सारे तरीके से आपने सवाल भी आंसर करे, इट ऑलवेज फील्स लाइक टू पीपल ऑन दिस एंटायर सीजन. आई नेवर हैड द फीलिंग दैट आई एम टॉकिंग टू, लेट्स से, दैट partner person. It always feels like I'm talking to my elder brother. The way you have answered the questions also and the kind of insights that you've given, I'm sure there is a lot for aspirants to take back from this. So it was wonderful, wonderful hosting you. We'll just take one last message for you, from you, for the aspirants, and your last comments on the show itself.
So first, thanks for all the good words. And see, anytime you have मेरा फंडा है कि you have to be humble. You have to be humble, and you are the same person.
Right,
You have just worked hard, and now that was work has been recognized. That's the only simple thing. And see, for aspirants, I would say first is hard work. Nothing beats hard work. Second is consistency and never give up hope. See, even if you're looking for something, let's say a corporate law firm, you're not getting an opportunity. वो litigation ही करे जा रहे हो, करे जा रहे हो, करे जा रहे हो. You will become good at litigation.
right.
See, law is a social thing.
Yeah,
बहुत
yeah,
practical चीज है, how it works out.
yeah,
How it is a very practical thing. The
yeah.
more you do it, the more you think about it. Obviously, when
Right,
you do it, you
right,
think about it, the more expertise you gain, and it helps you in general life also. So,
right.
hard work, consistency, and efforts, and obviously being humble. These three things are the
Really,
things which an aspirant should always work on.
right, sir.
And it's a wonderful platform. मतलब, a lot of things like whenever I interact with a fresher or whenever I interact with a new lawyer, I tell those things if I have time. But through a platform, it should be reaching to a lot of people, so that will be very helpful for people because I have
Right.
been in these kind of situations, and obviously, an experience of someone helps the others.
Absolutely. नहीं
So
नहीं सर,
it's a
बिल्कुल.
very good platform and very good thought behind it. And
Right, right, right,
you are a very good host. So
right,
thanks for
right.
that also. Nishan.
नहीं नहीं सर, थैंक यू सो मच. यही क्लिप हम स्टार्टिंग में चला देंगे स्विच टू द लेटर पार्ट ऑफ द वीडियोस. नो, थैंक यू सो मच सर. इट वाज अ वंडरफुल सेशन. I'll end the recording here and this will be the penultimate shoot for Open Floor with Nishank. It was wonderful hosting our guest today, partner at JSA, Mr. Sarvesh Saluja. Thank you so much again, sir.